Everyone tells you the same lie. Work harder. Stay disciplined. Grind longer. Sacrifice more. And one day, magically, you'll be successful. But let's be honest for a second. You've been working hard. Maybe harder than anyone around you. Long days. Late nights. Missed weekends. And yet, your bank account doesn't reflect the effort. That's not because you're lazy. It's because hard work alone has never been the real path to wealth. This is uncomfortable to hear because hard work feels noble. It feels fair. It feels like something that should be rewarded. Society loves hard workers because hard workers keep the machine running. But the system was never designed to make hard workers rich. It was designed to make them useful. Here's the first truth most people never realize: effort and reward are not directly connected. They feel like they should be, but they're not. You can put in 10 times the effort and still make less than someone who understands leverage. That's not motivation talk. That's reality. Think about it. If hard work created wealth, the richest people in the world would be construction workers, nurses, warehouse employees, and single parents working 2 jobs. But they're not. Those people work incredibly hard and still struggle. Meanwhile, someone with the right system, product, or leverage can earn more in a week than a hard worker earns in a year. Hard work is not useless. It's just incomplete. Hard work without direction turns into exhaustion. Hard work without leverage turns into burnout. Hard work without ownership turns into someone else's dream being funded by your energy. The biggest trap people fall into is what I call the productivity illusion. You feel productive, so you feel successful. You're busy all day. You're checking boxes. You're doing everything right. But productivity without progress is a silent killer. It keeps you tired enough not to question the bigger picture. Being busy is not the same as building wealth. In fact, the busier you are, the less time you usually have to think. And thinking is dangerous to a system that depends on you staying on autopilot. Here's the brutal part. Most people are rewarded not for value created, but for time spent. You're paid by the hour, the shift, the salary. That caps your upside immediately. No matter how hard you push, the ceiling stays in place. You're sprinting on a treadmill and wondering why the scenery never changes. Wealth comes from disconnecting income from time. Read that again. As long as your income depends entirely on your presence, your effort, and your hours, you are limited. Period. This is why 2 people can work equally hard and end up in completely different places. One is trading time for money. The other is building something once and letting it compound. And no, this isn't about get rich quick. That's another lie, just dressed up differently. This is about understanding the game you're actually playing. Most people think they're playing a hard work game. They're not. They're playing a leverage game without knowing the rules. Leverage comes in different forms. Money is one. Media is another. Systems, code, distribution, brand, ownership, and decision-making authority are all forms of leverage. The wealthy don't work harder than you. They position better than you. Let's use a simple example. A person who owns a parking lot makes money while sleeping. A person who works security at that parking lot gets paid only while standing there. Both are part of the same system. Only one benefits long-term. The worker is essential, but replaceable. The owner is optional, but irreplaceable. That's the difference. Hard work is often used as a substitute for clarity. When people don't know what to do next, they do more. More hours. More effort. More hustle. But effort in the wrong direction just gets you lost faster. Another truth people avoid: the world doesn't reward struggle. It rewards results. Nobody pays you more because something was hard. They pay you because it worked. That's why so many talented, disciplined, exhausted people feel stuck. They did what they were told. Go to school. Get a job. Work hard. Stay loyal. But no one told them to ask the most important question. Does this scale without me? If the answer is no, you've found the ceiling. This doesn't mean quit your job tomorrow. It means stop lying to yourself about what the job is. It's income. Not wealth. It's stability. Not freedom. And that's fine, as long as you don't confuse it with the finish line. The turning point for most people isn't working harder. It's realizing they've been working inside the wrong framework. Once you see that, you can unsee it. Suddenly, you start asking better questions. Who owns this? Who benefits long term? What happens if I stop showing up? If everything collapses when you stop, you don't own an asset. You own a responsibility. And this is where things start to shift. Because once you understand that hard work is a tool, not the strategy, you stop worshipping it. You start using it intentionally. In part 2, we're going to break down exactly what actually creates wealth, how leverage really works in the modern world, and why most people never access it, even when it's right in front of them. This is where the mindset changes from work harder to Build smarter. Now that you understand hard work isn't the strategy, let's talk about what actually creates wealth. This is where most people get uncomfortable, because this part requires thinking instead of just doing. Wealth is created by leverage. Not motivation. Not discipline. Leverage. Leverage means one action produces results far beyond the effort you personally put in. It's the multiplier. Without it, you are capped. With it, you compound. There are 4 real types of leverage in today's world. Ignore the noise. Ignore the gurus. This is the real list. First, capital leverage. Money making money. Investments. Ownership. Equity. This is the most obvious form, but also the hardest to access early because you need money first. That's why most people never start here. Second, labor leverage. Other people working for you. Businesses run on this. Teams. Delegation. Systems. This is powerful, but risky if you don't know what you're doing. Third, code and systems leverage. Software. Automation. Algorithms. Anything you build once and deploy infinitely. This is why tech scales so fast. Fourth, and most underrated, media leverage. Content. Brand. Attention. Distribution. This is the one people still don't respect, even though it's creating more millionaires than any other path right now. Media leverage is unique because it costs almost nothing to start and scales without permission. No boss. No gatekeeper. No approval. Just execution. That's why you're here. When you post a video, you're not just posting content. You're creating an asset. One that can work for you while you sleep. One that can reach people you've never met. One that can compound views, trust, and authority over time. Compare that to hourly work. You show up, you work, you get paid, it resets to 0 tomorrow. No compounding. No momentum. Just repetition. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. One viral moment doesn't build wealth. A catalog does. Most people quit before leverage kicks in because leverage is delayed. It doesn't reward you immediately. It rewards you later. And humans are terrible at delayed gratification. Here's the hard truth. The first 50 to 100 pieces of content usually do almost nothing. Low views. Low engagement. Low feedback. This is where most people decide. It's not working. They're wrong. It's working invisibly. You're building data. You're building skill. You're building clarity. You're building proof. The algorithm isn't punishing you. It's testing you. Another mistake people make is focusing on views instead of trust. Views without trust don't convert. Trust without massive views still builds wealth. A small audience that listens is more powerful than a large audience that scrolls past you. This is why boring consistency beats flashy inconsistency. Posting once a day for a year beats posting 10 times in 1 week and disappearing for a month. Leverage compounds quietly. One video leads to another. One idea leads to authority. Authority leads to opportunity. Opportunity leads to money. But only if you stay in the game. Most people never see success because they keep resetting. New niche. New strategy. New platform. New excuse. Leverage hates resets. It loves continuity. You don't need to be the smartest. You need to be the most consistent thinker in the room. Now let's talk about how you know you're actually building something real. The first sign is not money. It's feedback. Comments. DMs. People repeating your words back to you. That means your ideas are landing. The second sign is retention. People watching longer. Coming back. Recognizing you. That's attention compounding. The third sign is optionality. Opportunities start showing up without you chasing them. Collaborations. Questions. Offers. That's leverage working. Money comes last. Always. If money comes first, it usually leaves just as fast. This is where patience beats talent. Most talented people quit early. Most patient people win late. If you're still here, you're already ahead of the curve. Because most people never even learn this part. They stay stuck in effort mode forever. Here's your action for today. I want you to comment one thing. Which type of leverage are you building right now, or which one do you want to build first? Comment it. Say it out loud. Make it real. In part 3, we're going to talk about the internal shift that separates people who understand this information from people who actually execute on it, and why most people self-sabotage right when leverage starts working. Part 3 is where this gets uncomfortable, but that's where growth lives. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Leverage doesn't just change your results. It changes your psychology. And that's where most people collapse. When leverage starts working, effort decreases but impact increases. That sounds like success. For many people, it feels like danger. Because your identity was built around struggle. You were taught that progress must feel heavy. That success must hurt. That if it feels easier, you must be doing something wrong. So when leverage begins to compound, your brain looks for ways to reintroduce difficulty. Not consciously. Subtly. You delay posting. You overthink simple decisions. You change what's working. You tell yourself you need to improve, right when consistency mattered most. That's not laziness. That's identity conflict. Your nervous system is calibrated to effort, not efficiency. When efficiency shows up, it feels unfamiliar. Unfamiliar feels unsafe. So you sabotage. This is why so many people quit right before momentum. Not at the beginning. At the inflection point. Early failure is easy to rationalize. I'm still learning. Late failure is harder. Because now the stakes are real. If it works, you'll be seen. If it works, expectations increase. If it works, you can't hide behind potential anymore. So people stall. They say things like, I'm just refining my strategy. I'm waiting for the right time. I want it to be perfect. That's fear wearing a productivity costume. Here's the truth. Professionals don't wait for confidence. Confidence is a side effect of evidence. Evidence only comes from repetition. You don't become consistent because you believe in yourself. You believe in yourself because you stayed consistent long enough to remove doubt. That's the inversion most people miss. Another trap shows up here, comparison. Once leverage starts working, you notice others more. You measure pace. You track growth. You wonder if you're behind. Comparison reintroduces urgency. Urgency destroys leverage. Leverage requires patience. Comparison accelerates emotion. Emotion leads to impulsive decisions. Impulses reset progress. This is why the most dangerous moment is not when nothing is happening. It's when something finally is. You must protect momentum from your own mind. That means boring routines, fixed schedules, non-negotiable posting, clear rules, low drama. You don't rise to motivation. You fall to systems. The people who last don't feel more inspired. They feel less emotional. They treat content like inventory. They treat ideas like assets. They treat attention like currency. Not like validation. Here's another uncomfortable truth. Attention amplifies who you already are. If you're insecure, attention magnifies insecurity. If you're grounded, attention compounds stability. That's why building internally matters as much as building externally. You don't need to find yourself. You need to discipline yourself. The market doesn't reward potential. It rewards output. And output doesn't require perfect conditions. It requires decision-making under imperfect ones. Every time you post when you don't feel ready, you weaken fear. Every time you skip because you don't feel ready, you strengthen it. Fear is trained, not eliminated. Now let's talk about time horizons. This is where almost everyone fails. Most people secretly operate on a 3-month timeline. They say long-term, but they act short-term. Real leverage operates on years. The people you admire didn't win fast. They just didn't stop. They survived boredom. They survived invisibility. They survived slow traction. And that survival compounded. If you want to make this work, you need to make peace with being early for a long time. Early in audience. Early in money. Early in recognition. Early feels lonely. But early is powerful. Because once leverage clicks, speed increases dramatically. What took months starts taking weeks. What took weeks starts taking days. But only if you're still standing when it happens. So here's the final mindset shift. Stop asking, is this working? Start asking, am I building assets or chasing outcomes? Assets compound. Outcomes expire. Videos are assets. Ideas are assets. Skills are assets. Trust is an asset. Virality is not. Your job isn't to go viral. Your job is to become inevitable. And inevitability is built quietly, patiently, relentlessly. If you can do that, if you can resist urgency, ignore comparison, and keep producing when it feels pointless, you won't need motivation. You'll have leverage. And leverage doesn't care how you feel. It works anyway. If this resonated, don't overthink it. Save it. Rewatch it. And most importantly, keep building. Because the people who win aren't smarter. They're just still here.